This is Kol Birama, the podcast of Congregation Ramat Raz 929 Tanakh Project. Join us each day as we study a chapter of Tanakh, building towards completing all 929 together. I'm Rabbi Yoni Zolti, and I'm glad you're here. Bereishit chapter 10. In our previous episodes, we've been exploring the fundamental question surrounding the flood narrative. What truly changed when God destroyed and recreated the world? We've examined how humanity lost its crown as God's emissaries on earth, and how the intimate relationship between humanity and earth was severed. Today, we turn to perhaps the most visible transformation of all, how humanity itself evolved from a collection of individuals into families, tribes, and ultimately, nations. This shift represents nothing less than the birth of human civilization as we know it, the emergence of ethnic identity, cultural diversity, and the complex tapestry of peoples that would populate the earth. To understand this transformation, we must examine both what was lost and what was gained when humanity transitioned from the age of individuals to the age of nations. The contrast between pre- and post-flood humanity becomes strikingly apparent when we compare the genealogical accounts. In the antediluvian world, the Torah's attention centers on individuals and their personal achievements. The Torah lists Adam's descendants as individuals, first Shet, then Enosh, and so on. The same pattern appears with Cain's descendants. We have a catalog of individuals. Even the cultural innovations mentioned are attributed to specific individuals. Consider the genealogy of Adam in chapter 4. We learn about Yaval, Avi Yoshev Ohel Umikneh, the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. Yuval, Avi Kol Tofes Kinor V'Ugav, the father of all who play the lyre and pipe. And Tuval Cain, Lotesh Kol Choresh Nechoshet Uvarzel, the forger of every cutting instrument of bronze and iron. Each individual is defined by their personal profession, their unique contribution to human knowledge and to culture. The focus remains intensely personal, celebrating individual innovation and achievement. After the flood, however, a dramatic shift takes place. Noah's genealogy in chapter 10 approaches humanity entirely differently. Rather than focusing on individual accomplishments, the Torah presents descendants as founders of families and nations. Eile mishpachot b'nei Noach letoldotam begoyehem, ume'ele nifredu hagoyim ba'aretz achar hamabul. These are the families of the sons of Noach according to their generations, in their respective nations, and from these the nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. Instead of the descendants being listed as individuals, as occurred after Adam, then Shet, then Enosh, here we encounter a catalog of families. The focus has shifted from a roster of individuals to families and peoples. This is what we are counting and emphasizing now. The repeated refrain throughout the chapter emphasizes this new reality, presenting Noah's descendants as founders of families and nations. Eile blank lemishpachotam yilshonotam be'artzotam ligoyehem. These are the families of Japheth, Shet, and Ham, according to their languages, in their lands, according to their nations. This transformation reflects the very manner of humanity's entry into the post-flood world. While Adam was created as a solitary individual, humanity emerged from the ark as a family unit. Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and each of their wives. From the very beginning, the new world was structured around familial bonds rather than individual identity. The descendants of Noah's 3 sons establish 3 distinct approaches to human civilization, each representing a fundamental approach of how societies organize themselves and relate to the world. Japheth's descendants demonstrate a clear maritime focus, settling primarily on islands and coastal regions. The text emphasizes their geographic spread. Be'iyei hagoyim, the islands of the nations. This geographic distribution reflects their essential character as voyagers and explorers. Noach's blessing to Japheth captures this very destiny. Yaft Elohim leJapheth. May God enlarge Japheth. The wordplay on Japheth's name suggests expansion, enlargement, the spreading out across vast territories. Japheth's descendants become the great navigators of the ancient world, conquering not through concentrated power, but through geographic dispersion and maritime mastery. They represent humanity's impulse to explore, to push boundaries, and to discover what lies beyond the horizon. Shem, Noah's second son, lineage tells a dramatically different story. His descendants include the Canaanites, the Egyptians, and other peoples who are known for their great cities and empires. Most significantly, we're told that his line produces Nimrod, described as Gibor Tzayid Lifnei Hashem, a mighty hunter before God. The text emphasizes that from Nimrod comes Assyria, and he built Nineveh and other great cities. Nimrod represents something unprecedented in human history, the first empire builder, the archetype of concentrated power in urban civilization. Scholars debate his precise historical identity, but the biblical portrait is clear. He embodies the impulse to gather power, to build mighty cities, and establish dominion over vast populations. This imperial drive becomes even more poignant when considered against Noach's curse upon Shem. Eved avadim yel echav. Shem is to be a servant of servants to his brothers. The irony is profound. Cursed to servitude, Shem's descendants respond by becoming the great conquerors and empire builders of the ancient world. Their magnificent cities and powerful kingdoms seem almost an intentional, defiant response to the curse, an attempt to reverse their decreed fate through sheer force and organizational might. Noah's third son, Shem, his lineage presents yet another model of human organization. Though the details are sparse, throughout his genealogy we find an unusual emphasis on familial relationships and kinship bonds. More than with the other lines, Shem's descendants are consistently identified in relationship to their siblings, their brothers, their sisters, their uncles, and extended family networks. Most intriguingly, one of Shem's key descendants is Eber. Shem is described as Avi Kol Bnei Eber, the father of all the children of Eber. This enigmatic phrase has puzzled commentators for centuries. What does it mean that he's the father of all the sons of Eber? Why would the text refer to Shem as the father of Eber, his great-grandson, more so than any of his other children or descendants? Instead, I would suggest that rather than viewing Eber as merely a biological patriarch, we might understand the verse to mean that Shem is the founder of a cultural movement, the founder or the father of the Ivrim, the crossers, those who have passed over. These are, in effect, the nomads, the pastoral people who traverse boundaries rather than establishing fixed settlements. This interpretation, in fact, aligns perfectly with Noach's blessing to Shem. Yishkon be'olei Shem. May God dwell in the tents of Shem. Tents, after all, are the natural dwelling places of nomadic peoples. Shem's descendants, then, represent humanity's pastoral impulse, the choice to remain mobile, to maintain family-centered social structures, to resist the concentration of power that characterizes both maritime expansion of Japheth and imperial consolidation of Shem. What emerges from this tripartite division is the first systematic articulation of human diversity. The text explicitly notes that these families were distinguished b'lshonotam, by their languages, be'artzotam, in their lands, and begoyehem, in their nations. Language, geography, and ethnic identity become the defining characteristics of post-flood humanity. This represents a fundamental shift from the pre-flood world's focus on individual achievement to a post-flood emphasis on collective identity. Humanity no longer consists of discrete individuals making personal contributions to a shared civilization. Instead, humanity is comprised by distinct peoples, each with their own cultural patterns, linguistic traditions, and territorial claims. Thank you for joining today's learning. See you tomorrow for the next chapter of Tanakh.